Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Welcome to all the members, officers, and obviously the dozens at the moment of people looking at the live feed. Please accept your apologies. We're not in a normal place, which is in the chamber. We're in a smaller room downstairs, so we have had some technical issues this morning. We may, this afternoon rather, we may well have a few more as we go through the meeting, but bear with us. I'm Joe Hales. I'm the chair of the Grants Committee. And if you are joining remotely, can you keep your cameras off, apart from officers, and keep your microphone muted, please? Thank you. Simon, have we got?
Shooting.
Welcome, Richard, and our heartfelt best wishes to Councillor Edmonton, please. Declarations of interest from our member colleagues. Has anyone got anything on the agenda they're going to conflict with?
Just for completeness, I should mention the Eltersley Parish Council application is in my ward. I've already discussed at a parish council meeting, but I've got no pecuniary interest.
No, that's fine then. Anybody else? No, that's fine. Lovely, thank you very much. And we do the usual, the minutes, which is on page 3. Just going to flip through. So if you've got anything to sing out about, please sing out. Page 3, page 1. And then the second page is page 4. I think nothing to be worried about. Can I sign those off? Thank you very much. And Simon, have we got any public questions?
We do not, Chair.
Thank you. Right, so one of the two main events, which is now Community Chest, and I understand that Emma's taking this today. Thanks, Emma. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair. So the table at bottom of page 6 in your pack, that shows the total funds that are available in the Community Chest for this financial year. So obviously we're in the first month of that. The last column, that shows how much has been applied for this month. And as you'll notice, there are 2 biodiversity applications and 3 cost of living projects to consider today. Before I go on, I'll just quickly mention about an application that we received from Melbourne, Meldreth, Shepworth and Foxton Community Interest Company. That was too late to be considered last month. So this application, it was for £750 for some wildflower seeds. This needed to be planted at the beginning of April, so a decision was made by the League Cabinet Member of Resources to fund this outside of GAC, but I just thought I'd just bring it to you for awareness. Straight on to our first biodiversity application on page 9. This is from Cambridge Sports Lakes Trust. This is responsible for managing the Milton Country Park. Many of you all know. The park attracts around 250,000 visitors each year. It includes woodland, lakes and attractive pathways suitable for bicycles and wheelchairs. This application is requesting funding for a nesting raft for the common tern. This bird is listed on the UK Birds of Conservation Concern and is known to respond very well to artificial nesting rafts. They've already got a raft in one of their lakes that was introduced in 2022, and that has been successful. So they want to replicate this with another lake. There's a picture there. Obviously, you can see how it looks. It's got sort of sides and everything, and it's located in the middle of the lake. Total costs are £1,900. That's including free delivery, all of which has been requested from the Community Chest. The charity themselves will install the raft themselves. That's using community volunteers. We also funded them when this was back in June 2022 for their Wild Minds kit, and that took place at the park as well. We've consulted our natural environment team leader, John Cornell, and he says that the project's got merits and it will enhance biodiversity, so he's happy. We've also got support from Councillor Bradnam, and since this was published, we've also had support from Councillor Bear Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. This is well, it's very close to our heart, Milton Wildlife Park, so that's really good. Since I first read this, it's been killing me to say this, but I think this is such a really good application, and I think one good term deserves another. Oh. That's it. First one of the day. Thank you very much. Right, so over to you, gang. Anyone got any comments about this, please?
Since we would be funding this up to 100%. Would we normally have sort of an SCDC logo or something somewhere near it, say from the Y? We would do that. That would be normal.
Jane is well, hot off the press. Jane has ordered some post. She's got everything. She's got the stickers, the whole lot, plaques, seatable. So that could be installed quite easily. But I was just imagine on the wall of the draft, and perhaps maybe on the bank as well, so people can read it.
And is it something that we can just say, look, you know, we're expecting these to be, you know, to be put in, you know, installed?
So we always
recognition of the
when we send the letters out.
Yeah, I think so.
We always put that in every single time.
I have a reason for asking that question, but I won't say it now. I'll tell you later.
Okay. Yeah.
Any other colleagues got comments? Sunita, Richard, Pete?
No.
No.
I think this used to be years ago a quarry. It's like, I don't know what quarry, but the job they've done, making it into one of the most beautiful places is amazing. And I've seen these turns. I think it is a very worthwhile investment.
Read.
Yeah, just a minor question. I noticed the landowner is South Cambs District Council. Are we happy installing this on our property? I'm not quite sure what the relationship is between the trust and the council. Any planning permission or anything, I assume.
No, I wouldn't think it needs planning permission. I think
Got one as well.
yeah, this is it's just that.
It's lease.
Yeah,
Long time.
Yeah, long-term lease.
I think we're probably all right with this, army chaps and chapettes. Yes,
Yeah, agree.
fantastic. Thank you. Next one.
On page 11, Sea Parish Council. They would like to undertake 2 biodiversity projects. We did receive separate applications, but decided to put them in one. They're still under the amount of £3,000. So the first project is to create a wildflower bed on the verge of the green, which is next to the church. Apart from being a pretty focal point, it's hoped that the flowers will help to maintain the local bee population. Costs are £110, including VAT, all of which has been requested from the community chest. Costs such as rotivating the land and labour costs have been covered by London Parish Council personally and through in-kind contributions. The first project, and the second project is for a duck house on the village pond. This pond is located in the centre of the village. It doesn't currently offer anywhere for birds to nest. And this has resulted, unfortunately, in some of the birds being lost due to predator traffic that goes through there. This duck house, apart from again being a lovely focal point, will provide a safe haven for these birds and maybe even help to increase their numbers. Total costs for the duck house, that's £525, all of which has been requested from the community chest. So the total cost of both projects is £635, and the parish council also received £220 in March 23 for the printing costs associated with the community-led plan. Again, John Cornell, our natural environment team leader, is in support, as well as yourself, Councillor Bamford.
Thank you, colleagues. Pete, you got anything else to go? Yeah, please.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the wildflower bed goes, one of the parish councillors is very keen gardener. You have to do all the research of what's needed, what will grow there. It is at the moment just a grass area between the village green and the church, so it'll be a enhancement to the village, I think.
It sounds like it.
Ducks crossing the road, I think we need the crossing wall rather than the duck house. But yes, it's an open pond at the moment, and they are very exposed to predators. So I think the duck house would be a good enhancement and preserve the duck population.
Excellent. Yes.
Just a quick one. It looks like a very good project. Happy in principle to support it. I did just wonder though, and this is obviously my first time here, but parish council, I know they can apply for biodiversity grants, but do we ask them why they haven't precepted for? Because £600 is not. I mean,
Right, Emma.
money.
Which
We just not consider
they fall below X amount of
When
parishioners.
So within our community chest, we have our main, but we also have ring fenced funds. At the moment, it's biodiversity and cost of living projects. There's no stipulation with that. Parish council of any size can apply for.
Yeah, sorry, that's fine. But I mean, do we ask parish councils why they can't fund it themselves, or do we not?
We always ask the question. In this case, Beck, they're providing the in-kind contributions, and some do, even when we don't stipulate it. But we always recommend that, you know, it's looked upon favourably, but it's not a prerequisite in this case.
They're paying for some advertising, aren't they? Or something?
Yes. Yes.
Would that not be, I believe under the
Yes.
community chest, we don't do advertising, we won't fund that, will we? So that's their contribution, so they're doing something that we won't fund, if you like, yes.
I suspect the undiplomatic answer is they didn't think about this when the PSET was set a year ago, because it is coming out of 23-24 rather than 23-24. So yeah,
it's a very fair question, and we do normally look for parish council support, don't we?
Yeah.
When we're considering these things, we always ask the question, and if there's no apparent support, we ask why.
I think in this case, they've done that
They've done
support
something,
with
yeah.
the advertising bill, so.
I'm happy.
Yep, we're all happy. That's it, lovely, thank you, Emma.
Thank you. Page 13, first cost of living application from Sheddits. This was formed in 2018. They aim to reduce social isolation, promote social engagement, and allow people to share skills. There's currently 30 members. Projects undertaken include repairing and building items to the benefit of individuals and the wider community. This also promotes, as you can imagine, sustainability through recycling, reusing, sharing, and reducing the consumption of materials. They've also been running repair cafes twice a year for the last 4 years. But what they'd like to do now is undertake a new training programme. This is for 30 children aged 6 to 12. These children will be taught to dismantle, repair and reassemble a variety of electronic items of varying degrees of complexity. The project will be carried out at the next Sustainability Hub events, and the project costs are £1,150 and £850 has been requested from the community chest for 1 month's hire of these training kits, as well as insurance bills as well. Parish Council have offered them the hall for free, and are also helping with printing and advertising. And that comes to approximately £300 per project. And then they run also at least 2 projects a year. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of funding that they do put in there. We've also funded Shed It in the past. So back in March 22, that was £1,340. Launched the Sustainability Hub. And then back in January 23, £195 for a village planting and rewilding projects. We can have support from Councillor Sue Ellington. Thank you.
Thank you. In actual fact, on the subject of Sue, we had a discussion about this actually. Yeah, just discussing the actual application. Then, as you said, it's gone from strength to strength. It's quite surprising how quickly it's picked up. So I think it's really doing a fabulous job. So, guys, anyone got any comments about it?
Very worthwhile, Chair.
I
Fully support.
Yeah.
particularly as it's aimed at children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is answer for reuse.
Yeah.
Great.
As we fix all the boxes, I think, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
We'll take that as read, yeah. Thank you.
Please.
Next on the list, we have Melbourne Fates Committee. After successful village fates in 2023 and 2024, the Fate Committee will be running this year's fates on the 14th of June. This is, as it was last year, free to enter, and it offers free or low cost attractions. So that obviously is good for the local community, especially those that might be suffering from the cost of living crisis. So last year they were funded £2,000 from the community chest, and their event meant that they could donate £800 to the food banks at Melbourne and also Meldreth. Also, the charity Home Start, which supports local families, made £719 profit from the cafe, and the Melbourne Hub made an estimated £1,000 profit from running the barbecue. This year, they're estimated to attract 3,000 visitors, and local groups can again raise money. Profits from this year's fete will again be donated to the food banks. They've listed expected expenditure, and this comes in at £6,806, and £2,000 has been requested from the community chest. Parish Council will make a decision on funding for this year in June. At least £2,000 is expected in sponsorship from local businesses, and they will receive pitch fees from the stall holders. They've already secured some funding from a few local businesses there as well. And they've also said that the environmental impact will be minimal because they will return the site to what it was before. We have support from Councillor Joyce Hales and Councillor Sally Ann Hart. Thank you.
Okay, chaps, just quickly go, if I may. So the Parish Council has essentially a community fund similar to what we do now. It's got very much similar, the same amount of money as well. So from solar farms that have been to the south of the village of money over a 20-year period, so it gets linked, so it's doing rather well, and they give away a load. So I suspect that they will likely be funding what they funded this year, the same again. So that'll be there, just to give you that heads up. And this is a very large event, takes up all of the playing fields and what have you in Melbourne to the north of the village. As it says in the description, they like to keep it as minimal cost as possible so that everyone can have a day out. So I'll hand the floor to yourselves.
Yeah, I'm looking at Councillor Sally Ann Hart's comments in the first sentence. It's many thanks for clarifying what the funding will be for. Is it just a percentage of the running costs, or are they asking for support?
I believe they were looking for particular items. They're bringing in some various stuff which is more focused, if I recall. The conversation I had with one of the people running it. Writing in. I think there are some certain rides and what have you, they're subsidising them so that they're very popular with the youngsters. But what they have found with the cost of living is that some people come over, bring their picnic and their orange juice from home, sit there and enjoy it, and don't participate, if you like. They're there, but then the children are being essentially left out. So this is a move, I think, to rectify that. I personally very much support that. So.
Okay, that's fair enough.
It's
very clearly in the comments.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, to be fair, they give away practically. They keep enough to put the next one on, and they give everything away. And I mean, where you look at Home Start was one of the classics because it lost its government funding, didn't it? I think, and that's rocked them. So they're now having every penny they can lay there. So, yeah. Anybody else?
I don't know. I'm not quite so sure about this really. This one gives me a little bit of a problem.
Uneasy feel.
Yeah, I'm uneasy with this one. Yeah, and I just wonder how we'd cope if every 105 odd parishes asked for us to pay for their village fete. I think we would have big trouble, frankly. I'm not so happy with this one. Sorry, Chair.
Sorry.
John Williams in the
Yeah, so I had a question about how it relates to cost of living. And I think I'd like to know what the money is being used for specifically to ameliorate cost of living, rather because it was going into a general pot. That's subsidising the very rich as much as it's subsidising the very poor. So
that's a good point.
That was my question.
I believe it was actually broken down specifically. I think it's the fact that it is the cost of living project in the respect that it's free to enter the actual site, and also like Councillor Hales said, obviously the lines they're cheaper, and obviously supporting groups that support people like Home Start support people in the cost of living crisis as well. So it's kind of an indirect support there, and the fact we funded it last year, but
Fair point.
It's,
Stacey?
it would be such a shame if a family is sitting children and they can't afford to give their children the rides there, especially things like the steam engine and stuff.
John? I'd like to hear what John
Yeah.
Williams has to say. John?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I'm a bit with Bill on it. I wanted to understand. We said that we had funded it from Community Chest last year. I have to say I don't recall this, but was that on similar grounds? I'm really surprised that we funded it from Community Chest last year. I just want to know, Emma, what was that for?
it was pretty much identical. I think I don't think there was much difference.
I wouldn't,
Occasions. Yeah, no,
sure, I would have been out of the room because of
yeah,
part of it.
it was pretty much. I did look at the application when I was writing this, and it seemed pretty similar.
Okay. I mean, I think Bill has a point. I mean, I think on this occasion, because it's for specific things, that it would come under cost of living, I think, what they're asking for. But I do think we need to think very carefully about this going forward, because, well, as you know, we don't support revenue items, and I know that we haven't supported Fates in the past on purely for their running costs. But this is, in a way, by targeting cost of living and by asking us to fund certain trips and things for children, it's a neat way round it. But I'm not sure that, as Bill said, we could, going forward, fund this for everybody. So I'm a little, yeah, I think I'm happy to do it this time, but I think we need to look at this. I got a feeling that Melbourne have found a little loophole in the criteria, particularly for cost of living. And I think we need to look at this. I'm really surprised they managed to get Community Chest funding last year. Don't really understand how they managed that, given the rules of the Community Chest. But anyway, I'm for this time round, I think I'm happy to okay this, but I think we do need to look at this going forward, because this is not really what the cost of living pot's for. So I think we need to have a think about this in the future.
I mean, I appreciate you want to think about this in the future, and I was going to say, I wonder if this is something that we should look at urgently, since we're coming into fate territory now. And what have you, if other people have seen this go through the system, there'll be a deluge.
Yeah.
So I just wonder if it's worth, John, officers looking at a clause that may not, or may exclude Fates, if you like, or whatever you want to call it. Be specific. I know you're happy. I know you're happy with this, but you're not happy with it. You're okay with it. But
under the current criteria for cost of living, they can apply, and I would find it difficult to turn this down, because under the present criteria for the cost of living pot of money. But I think we need to look at that criteria, because clearly we're not in a position to support Fates across the district, albeit it would be for particular activities at those Fates, because of disadvantaged families wouldn't be able to afford to participate. I'm a bit concerned that if we don't look at this and close the door, we are going to get inundated.
I agree.
Can I?
Before you come in, Emma, Scott.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to quickly say, so revenue costs can be considered in a cost of living project, but I'd also like to say that the cost of living, the amount that we got in the pot was rolled over from last financial year. There's not a great deal left in it, so it'll be there until it gets spent. So I don't envisage it actually carrying on next year. So
Right.
unless anything changes, obviously.
But I think in that case, we need to explain to people that we're closing it then. I mean, we've got to do two things. We either close that pot of money because it's run out now and there's no more money left. We haven't allocated any more money to cost of living grants, and therefore it's closed. Or if it's not going to close, we need to look at the criteria and tighten it up.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, but I'm going to say my piece on this. I would much rather this money go to something like Food Hub or something, because you know very well that money is then going to reach people who really need it. And I think here there's, as Councillor Richard Williams said, there are going to be a lot of rich people, kids who benefit from this, and I'm not sure that's the right thing we should be doing.
Richard.
Yeah, no, I was similar thing. What I was going to suggest is there any way we can get back to them and say we'd like more information on how they would target this support at people who actually need it, and we might consider supporting this if they can demonstrate that. But if they can't demonstrate it, we won't.
For a month.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, we are. Is that all right with you, John? I mean, we defer it for a month. We've got a meeting next month, haven't we? A committee next month. What,
Yeah.
May?
Yeah.
We should have.
June, I think, I believe.
But the fate is June the 12th. I know that for a fact. So,
But
unless we give it to the officers and John to make the final decision, if you like, so the officers ask for further information, and then Emma supply that back to John, and then John makes the final decision. You happy with that, John?
I'm
So we get some clarification.
happy with either way, but I do feel that we need to we do need to understand exactly how this money is going to benefit those most in need, and I'm not sure they've done that yet. But as I say, I think there's a broader point here that if we are continuing with the cost of living fund, and I'm not sure going into next financial year, I haven't seen any proposal yet for us to carry on with this cost of living pot for the new financial year. But if we are going to do it and we do allocate some money to it, we need to tighten up on the criteria, because the problem I've got with this is that I think, strictly speaking, they do qualify from using the money in this way, but so I'm not quite happy with it, and I think they've found a bit of a loophole here to try and get us to subsidise the activities that are going on at the fete.
I like let's agree that they qualify, whichever loophole they jump through. That's great. And just adding information, I didn't give them any loopholes, right? But I actually like Richard's suggestion, and I think if it's okay with the rest of the.
Yeah, we need to ask them, well, how are they going to target?
Be specific to target to use this money.
Use this money.
And then you and Emma talk amongst yourselves and make the decision afterwards, whether it's a yay or nay. I think we need to be agreed that it's a yay or a nay from us, but deferred, ready for John and Emma to come back.
I agree, and it's not as though the fate's going to be put in jeopardy by delaying, is it? Because it sounds to me as if the community fund in Melbourne has got ample cash to support it anyway.
They've got seem to have more than enough money anyway to fund it. So yeah.
So is that agreed then? Yeah, did we do that then? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Richard. Okay. Emma, please.
Thank you. Page 18, we have Cottenham Village College, part of the Astria Academy Trust. This application came in from the Sustainable Schools Project, which is working with the school. As you'll remember, it's working with other stakeholders as well to develop a new 3G pitch with floodlighting in the spectator areas. That's at the Village College. They've come back to us with this new proposal, which will be the formation of a free community boot bank. This is for football boots. It will be made available to students of the college and the centre school during the day, and then open to all users in the evenings and during the weekends. And it will consist of studded football boots of all sizes. These boots can be borrowed by anybody who needs them and returned at the end of the each session. They will be working with various groups who may not currently be playing football to help reduce any barriers to participation. The whole list of groups, including the Kite Trust. Total costs for 118 pairs of football boots of various sizes are £1,996.82, excluding delivery, all of which has been requested from the community chest. Once it's been set up, they will accept donations from other users to restock and replace the boots, which obviously has got it's good for the environment because it's giving them additional life and reducing their impact on the environment. And if funded, they have stressed that they will prominently signpost. This is being funded from the community chest as a way as thank you. So they're quite keen for us to obviously, promote that as well. And we have support from Councillor Eileen Wilson. Thank you.
Comments, colleagues?
Well, is this a community, a wider community? It's not for just the Cottenham Village College students.
It's
It's in the evenings and weekends.
Because I don't know anything about shoes or boots. Are they very expensive that people can't afford their own?
They can be, I know. Some of them, yeah. Specific, I mean, £40 or £50 perhaps, £60 some of them.
Suppose at the rate children grow, use a new pair of boots every year.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good project. I must admit, I got slightly the same concern with the last one in that it doesn't seem particularly targeted at those most in need. It looks to me more like a general community chest project, which I think I'd be very happy with as a general community chest project. Slight hesitation about cost of living again, for the same reason as before, but I do think it's a good project. I'm not sure if it's in the right category though. Whether that's a difference.
I
We moved them if need be.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, but I have to say this is one of the tricky things here. I run a mobile warding scheme, part of the team of a mobile scheme, and how do you differentiate between somebody who is not well heeled and someone who is? And the only way we can do this is with like large groups like county council who do means testing and what have you to see if someone qualifies for it. And none of us are set up to do means testing. And I suppose this is the only issue that we would find here, is that you have to take people's own honesty, I suppose, in the process and not make a big thing of it. Because I would imagine that if you can't afford to buy that pair of boots for your child to play football, it must yank at your heartstrings when you see the others playing it. So I can see the merit in this, and I understand where you're coming from, Richard. And the same as the last application, I absolutely understand where you're coming from, and it's a valid point. But we're in a bit of a rock and a hard place, I think, with both, if you like. That people's well-meaning may be misinterpreted, sort of thing.
The thing that
Pete's
sorry, Peter.
Just to turn your comments around, I think it'll be self-policing. The kids who've got well-heeled parents will probably have the latest design of football boots at £200 a pair or whatever. And those that can't afford expensive football boots will be the ones that use this bank.
Yeah.
It won't be 100%, but I think it will be somewhat self-policing.
Thank you.
I guess the thing that worries me is the organisation type. Astria Canopy Trust is a company limited by guarantee, and the Sustainable School Project is a private limited company. I suppose it fits. I suppose it ticks the boxes, but that kind of thing just worries me. I think also going on the football boots, there may be some reluctance for people to say, oh, I'll use school football boots, because it's kind of, it's flagging that those people are coming from a disadvantaged background. I'm really quite uncomfortable with that.
It's true.
I really am. I don't know whether there's an answer though.
So is this for playing football during school time or just general?
General.
So
It could be part of teams.
it wouldn't matter. Do boys really look at football boots?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
They do.
It's like trainers. Do you want the latest branding?
I have a feeling that Melbourne have Melbourne Dynamos, which is a football team for children under 16, I think. And they've got 22 teams. They've got male and female teams. They've got all sorts of teams, and they appeal to a variety of socioeconomic families, and as such, they have their own kit banks. They don't tend to advertise it, but it's just there. So it's a very well trodden path to make sure that it is inclusion. And that's really what it boils down to, is inclusion. I'm sure we've had footballers in the past who've been absolutely diamonds on the football pitch, but have come from such a rotten background, if you like, of poverty and what have you, that they've shone on the field. And I'm not a football individual by any stretch of the imagination, but I can see the merit in it. I understand what everyone's saying, but I think, we're at the point now where if there's no more comments, we're gonna go with how we feel about it.
They could make it a stipulation that everybody wears the same kind of boots. So
They're just going to be on donations, I think, as well, in it and stuff.
no, I mean, if who are saying that one child will have a bigger, nicer one than the other.
You see this at Chelsea and Tottenham. They all have different boots. Whose boots are what? Richard.
It just maybe made things easier. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a good initiative, and I actually think on sustainability grounds it's a good initiative, because it's terribly wasteful to buy football boots for your kids who cry from 3 months later. So I think it's a great project. It was a technical point about which pot it falls in, but I'm happy to support it. I wouldn't let it fall over a technical point about which pot.
Okay. It's okay, Senator Bill. Where are you going, buddy?
I'm going to abstain, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't feel comfortable with it.
Okay. I'm going to go with it. So the motion carried, so to speak. One abstention. And then we'll leave that if John, you've come onto screen. Have you
I'd
something
just
to
like to say that I'm actually do support this. I think football boots are very expensive and can prevent people from playing football. Even I can remember many moons ago when I was a youngster, there were people at my school who struggled to play football because they couldn't, their parents couldn't afford boots for them. So this is I think this is a very good project, and I certainly, I think we should support it.
Okay.
Just to say, I hope the college is very careful with the way they manage it, so that there is no shame brought upon the kids who need the boots. I really hope they
think
do
that will be as Rena actually. Well, they're pretty good at doing what they're doing now. Right. This sort of environment. Okay. Fabulous. We take that as, yep, that's lovely. Right. Okay. Is that your lot then, Emma? Half day for you then.
Oh no,
She's off. Look, God.
Another football pundit in, early bath for Emma. So yeah, okay, that's great. Right then, so we're going to thanks Emma. Agenda item number 6, which is Luke, and is that Eleanor as well as helping Luke, or your good self?
Yeah, I think it's myself. But yeah, Ali's here as well. But I'll take you through the application if that's all right. So yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I can't see the screen, but if I share my screen, that'll just probably help just to kind of take you through the kind of main points of the application quickly. So yeah, we've got an application from Bourne Parish Council to the electric vehicle charge point grant to fund a 22 kilowatt electric vehicle charger, as you can see there at Bourne Sports Pavilion. on the Jubilee Recreation Ground. So hopefully you can see my screen. It's just marked by that kind of faint red dot, but that's the building there. So it's kind of on the outskirts of Bourne, and it's kind of associated with the playing fields. The wider playing fields are owned by us, South Cambridgeshire District Council, but Bourne Parish Council themselves own the building, and then they lease the kind of playing fields from us. So yeah, it'd be kind of positioned in the car park, just on the kind of gable end of the pavilion building itself, so that it's kind of accessible from the same car park as you'd expect. So as I said, they're applying for a 122 kilowatt electric vehicle charger, and also some more, because as you can see, it's not kind of the kind of paved surface only extends so far in the car parks. They're applying for kind of a tarmac surface as well, to provide some parking for the charger, because there isn't really kind of a appropriate surface next to the pavilion that can sort of be marked out for an EV charger. So yeah, they've kind of provided a good amount of kind of justification in terms of the sort of nearby kind of businesses and things, and nearby kind of potential users for the charger. So obviously there's the pavilion itself, which kind of runs a number of community events, kind of evening events, and obviously a lot of kind of sporting activities going on there on a regular basis. And then there's also kind of other nearby amenities, from where users might make use of the electric vehicle charger. So there's Bourne Surgery nearby, Indian Restaurant, and then Manor Farm, which is kind of a little cluster of businesses, including kind of a cafe. So yeah, quite sort of a good amount of amenities, I think, within kind of close walking distance of the pavilion, where one might reasonably be sort of able to kind of walk to if you were charging your car up at the pavilion. There's also a little bit further out a number of properties on a couple of estates in the village that tend in the main not to have their own private parking, so they're kind of on-street parking. So again, these are people that potentially could make use of a charger, that can't charge at home because they've not got the kind of private driveway to charge on, but they could use a public charger in this location. It's a little bit further out, but it's kind of still within probably what most would consider kind of walking distance. Parish Council have had some quotes. They've provided one detailed quote from their kind of chosen installer, which itemises the various things that they'll need. So they've kind of done their research there, and they've confirmed that the site's got sufficient power for the 22 kilowatt charger. And the application also has the support of Councillor Dr. Hawkins as well. No match funding has been put forward by the applicant. The Parish Council did note though that they've kind of done a number of other renovations on the building, which they've kind of invested in themselves. So that was kind of their justification for that. But yeah, in the main, I think it's a good application. Shows a kind of a good prospect of being used, and it's also quite good to see they're kind of going for a kind of a faster charger, 22 kilowatts rather than sort of a typical 7 kilowatt sort of slower charger. So there's potential there to kind of get a bit more use out of it, I suppose, because you're getting faster charge speeds. So that's everything. I should also mention as well, just there is an error in the on my part in the report, which I just want to draw your attention to just for clarity. If I can find it on my screen, and it's now disappeared. Here it is. So no, sorry, that's a different report. There it is, paragraph 11. It just mentions there in the second line, the available grant is £9,124. It's actually the figure below in the table, 21,000, which was carried over from the previous year. So I just didn't update the text in that paragraph to reflect the table, which is correct. So my apologies. I just wanted to make that clear. So yeah, that's me. So I'm happy to take any questions, or that's everything. Thank you.
I've got one quickie, if I may, before I open it to the guys. On 36, on the bottom of the application, where you've got all the costings and the breakdown and what have you.
Yeah.
What's the score /100? Is there meant to be a number at the front of that?
There is. Apologies. That's another error then, clearly on my part. So my mistake. Yeah, it should be 73 out of 100, which it's in the bottom of the report. But again, that's just an omission on my part. So apologies. Thank you for picking that up. But yeah, as you can see, paragraph 20 in the report, it's should be 73.
There's no formal punishment for any mistakes, but or anything like that. But we do remember, don't we? We go,
Yeah.
is that Luke fella again? Like, yeah, right. Okay. Right, gang, have you got any questions for Luke?
A question for Luke, Chair. These things, EV chargers, they normally generate some income, don't they? For an organisation. So presumably that anything that this EV charger makes, where will it go? Where will the money go to?
They do, yeah, they do generate an income. So as the owner of an EV charger, you can set what you call the tariff, so that the amount that you want to bill people for using it, and that would then go to normally whoever pays the electric bill, because that, you know, for the energy that's, you know, going into the charger. So in this case, presumably the parish council. I would say that they tend not to be, particularly at this sort of scale, in terms of, you know, like a single community charge point, they tend not to be a particularly large kind of money making exercise. You know, they're sort of covering their own costs in terms of the electricity, and then probably, you know, any you know, like maintenance fees that one might take out, you know, like a maintenance package to cover the you know, any faults with the charger. And by the time you've kind of you know, paid for both of those, that's probably, you know, most of the money that's being made from the charging. You sort of have to kind of set your tariff at a point where you want to cover your costs, but also try and sort of be competitive, and, you know, where you're trying to compete with perhaps larger companies that have got the sort of economies of scale that can perhaps charge a little bit less for you know, per kilowatt hour. You know, where you've only got one, you might have to charge a little bit more to sort of cover your costs. So yeah, in my kind of, albeit not vast experience, but kind of from what I've seen, I think they tend to be, yeah, not particularly kind of highly money making ventures, but more sort of covering their costs at this sort of scale.
Another question for you, Luke. You've been to the site. Have you actually been to this site?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. It looks from the photograph as if it's a fairly isolated spot, although you say it's fairly close by facilities, which you know, I accept. It does look, but it does look as, you know, I just wonder whether there's a security concern if someone's going to park their car there to have it charged and it's out of sight of everyone. Is it going to be very popular?
I mean, it's a good question. I think it is on, as I sort of said, it's kind of on the edge of the village rather than within the centre of the village. There are properties quite nearby, and kind of over. If I can get the map up on the screen, I don't know if I'll just reshare my screen and you can sort of see the situation. So yeah, there's some homes nearby that I suppose they don't directly overlook it, but they're kind of close enough, excuse me, to be I suppose, you know, within earshot of you know, of anything that might be going on in the car park. And I would say also that because it's a quicker charger, so 22 kilowatt charger, there's probably less potential for people to be needing to be kind of parked up there overnight. With a 7 kilowatt charger, you know, you might well, if you're kind of low on charge, you might well need, you know, several hours to charge up, and that might mean that you're charging up overnight if you're kind of getting home from work, you know, and charging up for a few hours. But with a 22 kilowatt charger, there's potential for kind of, you know, 2 or 3 hour charges to get you up to a full charge, depending on, you know, the charge status of your vehicle and other things. But, you know, broadly speaking, so then there's potentially less need for people to be kind of parked up overnight and leaving their vehicle unattended. I think with some, they may benefit from some sort of signage nearby, just to kind of bring people's attention to it. I know that other applicants to this grant have done that. Steeple Morden, I think, have kind of got a couple of signs up on the approach to they're in a similar situation where they're kind of, their site's kind of more on the edge of the village rather than in the centre of it. I know they've kind of put some signs up that's kind of to sort of direct people or make people aware of it, that perhaps wouldn't otherwise be. But I think it's, you know, that kind of nearby proximity to those other kind of facilities as well. You know, they could potentially advertise it in those kind of areas, you know, in the Indian restaurant, in the surgery, and, you know, people that are using those facilities, if they have sign outside on the edge of the track or edge of the driveway to the place, then they may well see that as well.
I would like to come back, but John, I think John would like to speak.
Yeah, Luke, £9,000 plus seems quite high compared with what I recollect Caxton paid, and my memory might be faulty. Is that simply a difference between fast charge versus standard charge, or have prices gone up substantially recently, or do you think this is actually a ballpark correct quote?
Yeah, I don't know if the price, sort of how much prices have gone up or down on individual sort of pieces of kit. I'm not sort of close enough to it on a daily basis, but I think where the costs do come in quite a lot is, as you might see there, and hopefully that's clear, but on that breakdown is the sort of civil, so basically the sort of groundworks of digging a cable, digging any sort of cables, which I think in this case they're probably mounting it on the wall, but I think it's the car parking. I know that again in I think it was again Steeple Morden that I just referred to, they had 2 car parking spaces that they kind of had to create, and that was quite a large chunk of their costs, which the grant does cover. It sort of associate any kind of capital costs associated with the charger, and kind of so you know that the grant's there to kind of cover those costs, but they are, you know, quite a big chunk of it compared to just the just the kit itself. So that may be the reason that it's kind of, you know, more expensive than some of the others that we've seen.
If you look at the cost of the actual charger itself, is under 1,000, but the civils are nearly 5. Yeah, I mean it's labour in it again. So okay, John, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I see from the photo of the building, I mean the actual plain area has floodlights, so I assume that it is used. It is available in the winter when the nights are dark. But I also noticed that on the building there seems to be a light. I just wanted to check, Luke, that light is a movement activated light and will be there to enable people to see what they're doing. Because one of the issues that you get with electric charging points, particularly on community buildings, is that sometimes they're not lit. And it is actually not very easy to plug your car in the dark, and trying to hold your phone in one hand with a light and trying to plug the car in with the other hand, I can assure you, is not an easy thing. So I wanted to make sure that we ensure that it is lit, and it would appear that there is a light there over the where they're going to put the charging point, that actually that will be lit, because otherwise if it's not lit then it's just not going to be available for use, you know, during the winter or you know, when it's dark. So but it does appear, you know, given that they've got floodlights for the pitch, looks like a sort of Muga pitch, that it is used in the winter, and you know, unlike a lot of other places that I go to, you know, where pavilions are not lit, playing fields are not lit, and basically they can't be used at all during winter months. So can we just check that out with them to make sure that it will be lit? Yeah,
absolutely. I'm afraid I don't know off the top of my head whether that light is motion activated, but by all means can find out.
Okay,
Thank you, John. Okay, so are we agreed that this will be okay and recommend to Luke that that's a yes? Okay, thank you very much. That's a yes then, Luke. Is that the one and only, Luke?
It is indeed. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's all from me.
Even an earlier bath than Emma then. I mean, that's very cost effective.
Just one thing. I mean, I'm happy with the decision. Just one other thing, Luke. If I was going to charge my car there, I'd be much more comfortable if it was, well, as John Williams said, that it's lit, but also possibly covered by CCTV, because I have a horrible feeling it's so isolated that some drivers will not want to use the charging point. Just a general point. You might want to mention it to the owners of the site.
Yeah, I will do. I know they've had a number of kind of renovations, definitely internally to the building recently. But yeah, I don't know that if they've kind of got what other stuff they have there in terms of lighting or CCTV. So I'll definitely raise both of those points with them. Thank you.
Thanks, Luke.
Cheers,
Thank you.
Okay, then in that case, then there's nothing else on the agenda other than to say next meeting is Thursday, 27th of June. If there's March there, that was wrong. Right, so it's in June. It's not in May. It's in June. Yes, a date in June. So what was the end of it? 26th of June. Thank you very much. And to say thank you once again to all the hundreds of people that have taken the time to watch this live feed. And thank you to Richard for turning up and standing in for Sue. Much love, Sue, by the way. And your contributions, all of you. And that is that.